Welcome to this explainer. If you've been following the intersection of AI and medicine, you know we've been on the brink of something huge for a while. But today, we are exploring a massive breakthrough in computational biology that is going to directly impact your healthcare. We're talking about a total paradigm shift. We are moving from just crunching data to literally simulating human life on a hard drive. And most importantly, we're going to break down exactly what that means for you as a patient.
Okay, let's just dive right into this provocative question because, wow, we are moving from this frustrating world of trial and error medicine into an era of just unbelievable precision. I mean, for decades, finding the right treatment, especially for really complex things like cancer or rare genetic disorders, it's involved a whole lot of educated guessing. You know the drill, right? You take a medication, you wait, you maybe suffer some awful side effects, and if it doesn't work, well, you just try something else. But what if we could bypass all of that entirely? Imagine if your doctor could test 10,000 different treatments on your cells before you ever even fill a prescription.
Section 1. The medical bottleneck. Why current medicine is slow, expensive, and experimental.
To really grasp why this new tech is an absolute game changer for patients, we've got to first look at the agonizing bottleneck of modern medicine. Right now, drug discovery is fundamentally limited by our physical reality. We rely heavily on the traditional wet lab. It's about 90% experimental, incredibly slow, manual, and super expensive. Researchers are stuck spending years testing single, isolated pathways in petri dishes. And then when they finally move to animal models, like mice, it honestly often fails to predict how humans will respond. Why? Just basic species differences in gene regulation and metabolism. What cures a mouse frequently does absolutely nothing for a human. But there's a shift happening. The in silico, or computational approach, is changing the whole shebang. We're ditching those isolated manual tests and moving to a predictive model that scales incredibly fast, testing directly on virtual human data to see how the whole cell responds.
Which brings us to Section 2, Enter the Virtual Cell, the ultimate flight simulator for human biology.
This is the technological marvel that's literally fixing that medical bottleneck we just talked about. We call it the AI Virtual Cell Model, or AIVC for short. Think of it kind of like a giant game of SimCity, or maybe a hyper-realistic flight simulator, but for human biology. Instead of just modeling one tiny, narrow biological pathway, the AIVC integrates multiple layers of data. We're talking gene expression, protein interactions, spatial context, the works, to learn the behavior of the entire cellular system. This lets researchers throw a digital disaster at a cell, say a specific genetic mutation or an environmental shift, and then test thousands of digital solutions, all without ever causing a single ounce of real-world harm to a living patient.
And the absolutely crucial point here is captured perfectly by this quote from Stephen Quake. We are completely flipping the script on how medical discoveries are scaled and tested. We're leaving behind this reality where biology PhD students have to spend countless grueling hours at a lab bench doing physical experiments and stepping into a world where the heavy lifting is done computationally. Cell biology goes from being 90% experimental to the exact other way around.
Section 3. Powering the simulation. The massive AI models unlocking the genome.
Now you might be wondering, how on earth does a computer actually simulate something as insanely complex as human DNA? Well, the number 1 million represents a major recent breakthrough. 1 million DNA base pairs. That is the massive context window, basically the amount of genetic information that revolutionary new models like InstaDeep's NTv3 and Google's AlphaGenome can analyze all at once in just a single forward pass. To put that into perspective, older models were kind of like trying to look through a tiny peephole. These new models, it's like taking a sledgehammer, knocking down the entire wall, and seeing the whole landscape at single-nucleotide resolution.
And this incredible scale is absolutely required if we want to unlock what researchers call the dark genome. You see, a mutation in just a single nucleotide might cause a terrible disease, but its actual effect might only show up because of interactions that are hundreds of thousands of bases away. It's like a giant, wildly complicated puzzle. But by seeing that whole million-base context window at once, researchers can finally pinpoint exactly where complex, rare patient diseases are hiding in the vast regulatory logic of our DNA. It takes us from merely reading the genetic code to actually being able to engineer it.
Let's get into Section 4, your personal digital twin, turning your unique data into a bespoke computational model.
This is honestly the most exciting part because this is why it matters directly for you and the future of your personal healthcare. This 4-step pipeline shows the ultimate vision of AIVC technology, the patient digital twin.
We're taking medicine from this outdated one-size-fits-all approach and moving to a deeply personal cure. Here's how it works. Step 1. We take your specific data, your genomic profile and your single-cell transcriptomics. Step 2. We use that data to build a bespoke computational model of your cells. Not some generic human cells, but yours. Step 3. We simulate drug combinations in silico. And finally, Step 4. Your doctor delivers a tailored cure that has already been computationally proven to work on your specific biology.
This becomes incredibly, literally life-savingly important when we talk about combinatory therapy. Today, we have this ever-increasing availability of new drug candidates. It is mathematically and physically impossible to test every single combination and dosage of these drugs in a physical lab, let alone safely on a human patient. But your digital twin changes the game. It lets clinicians safely and rapidly screen complex drug combinations computationally, right there on a hard drive. They can test thousands of combinations to find the perfect dosage for you, predicting efficacy and toxicity before you take a single drop of medicine.
Moving to Section 5, Hope for Rare Diseases. Real-world momentum and replacing animal testing.
Now, I know what you're thinking. This sounds amazing, but is it just science fiction? Is this decades away? Actually, no. This real-world patient impact is happening right now, especially where traditional medicine has hit a brick wall. Look at these initiatives. The Certainty Project is actively using these virtual models to simulate personalized cancer immunotherapies in silico. Then there's B2B Rare, which is using virtual twins for rapid diagnosis and finding targeted treatments for rare neuromuscular disorders that previously had absolutely zero hope. And, maybe most surprisingly, from a regulatory side, the FDA is actively transitioning to what they call New Approach Methodologies, or NAMs. This basically means they are encouraging the use of these high-fidelity virtual cells instead of animals to evaluate safety simply because the computer models are getting so much more accurate at predicting human outcomes.
It is just an unbelievable paradigm shift. We're waking up to the realization that biology is no longer just something we passively observe and describe. It's transitioned. It's becoming something we can predict, generate, and literally program, almost exactly like software. We are completely redefining the boundaries of programmable biology.
So I'll leave you to ponder that thought. Are we actually ready for this future? A future where your medicine is engineered and tested on a hard drive before you even step foot inside a hospital? Well, the data, the massive AI models, the clinical momentum, they all suggest it's arriving a whole lot faster than we think. I really hope this explainer has shown you exactly why the AI virtual cell is arguably the most important medical breakthrough of our time, and how it's going to change the patient experience forever. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.